These things. Right, welcome. Hopefully we're all in the right place, which is a BSc Environmental Health. My name's Graeme Mitchell. I'm the programme leader for the BSc Environmental Health here at LJMU. Hopefully what I'll do in the next half hour or so, 40 minutes, is just kind of go through what it is. If you've got any questions, just shout them out to me, no worries. I don't know how much you know about LJMU, Liverpool John Moores. We were founded in 1825. We have thousands of students all over the globe in different countries. One of the recent stats is 94% of our students either continue on in higher education or actually find employment, which we think is very important. One of the niches LJMU looks at is employability. I don't know if there's anything in your packs about WOW, World of Work. Very big on that. And as part of our faculty here at LJMU, we have the Centre for Public Health, which has an international, national and regional reputation for its work. Normally does my favourite one that they had, pop stars die young. If you're a rock star, you're more likely to die young. They also have people going, they do club health. If you get a position there, you can go to Ibiza for 2 weeks to work, looking at clubs. Liverpool itself, I don't know if you're familiar with the city. We were capital culture 2008. There's a vibrant student nightlife, although I'm sure you'll all be dedicated students in the library, which opens 24 hours. Obviously we've got Liverpool University, Liverpool John Moores University and Hope University. So it really is a city geared up to students. Quite a diverse population in Liverpool. Oldest and largest Chinese community in the UK. Claims to have one of the first mosques in the UK. So there's a real mix in Liverpool, obviously because it was a port city. A lot of stuff come in. And obviously growing economic development. Liverpool One, for example, which has just opened. Throughout this talk I might use the phrase environmental health and public health, and basically they're the same thing to my mind. Public health is environmental health is public health. They came from the same root. They came from the very same root. And part of that goes back to 1842, a guy called Edwin Chadwick, and it's kind of acknowledged to be the first start of the public health era is 1842. He did a report into the sanitary conditions of the labouring classes in the country. And he looked into the living conditions of the working classes. It's interesting that it's how you view Chadwick. Was he a fine, upstanding Victorian gentleman with Christian morals who felt that he had a duty to protect the working classes? Was it based on that? Or was it actually something a bit more sinister, which he realised if your workers live longer and your workers are a bit happier, they're actually far more productive? Don't know. You can take either view. But in 1842, he reproduced that report. Kind of things you come across at the time. This is King Cholera, because the water pumps, the people's water supplies wasn't directly into their houses, it was into the streets, and you'd have standpipes in the middle of the streets. It was a famous case in 1854, a guy called John Snow, Dr. John Snow, traced a cholera outbreak to a water pump. And effectively what was happening, the water pipe was coming in, that was fine. But on top of the water pipe was the sewer pipe. Both pipes were cracked, and all that was happening is the sewage was going directly into the water pipe, which was being drawn up the pump, and the residents of Broad Street were drinking it and getting cholera. Kind of conditions people used to live in, squalid conditions. Multiple families to properties, basement rooms with no windows, real sort of appalling conditions that people lived in at the time. And this is actually locally, this is Widnes, which is, if anybody knows, just near the Mersey. But that's the kind of pollution that used to occur. Businesses used to just pump out black smoke, no concern for the environment, certainly no concern for the residents. So, as a result of that, we had the 1848 Public Health Act. But before that, in 1847, we had Dr. Duncan, appointed as the first medical officer of health, and that happened here in Liverpool. And he's the first doctor that looked after communities and not individuals. As a result of that, we get the first sanitary inspector, and this is the forerunner of the environmental health practitioner, appointed here in Liverpool, is a guy called Thomas Fresh. If you get lost in Liverpool, there's a pub called Dr. Duncan's. It's very nice, owned by Kane's Brewery. Good pint. And strangely enough, Kane's always have a pub called Dr. Duncan's, because Dr. Duncan at the time said drink beer and not water. It was far safer to drink beer than it was the water. Liverpool at the time, explosion in an urban population, infrastructure couldn't cope, sewage contamination of the water, unsafe to drink the water. The brewing process got rid of some of those pathogens, so it was actually safer to drink drink the beer, than the water. Well, 150 years of public health, environmental health, have we solved these problems? Well, some we have. Clean water. Water supply in the UK, fantastic, absolutely top notch, no issues. Some remain. Housing is still a problem. Poor housing and the effects of poor housing on health, because it's the poorest section of society who have the poor health, who have the lowest income, that always have the worst housing. And that still exists. Some new ones, obesity, big issue at the moment. Strange that obesity that we feel is a problem. You go back to the 1750s, obesity was a sign that you were wealthy because you had plenty to eat. So, back then, to be obese was a sign, it was a good thing. It was a sign of wealth, it was a sign of health. Even now, certain countries, you go to Africa and places like that, being obese is a sign of health, a sign of wealth. But they've got problems we've got to solve still. So what does public health involve? Well, the best thing to say, it's a science and art, preventing disease, prolonging life and promoting health. And it touches on virtually every aspect of our daily lives. Oops. And that's the kind of model we use. Some of these things we can't change. Can't really change who we are, how old we are, what our genes are. But everything else, all these other layers affect health. And that's where environmental health comes in, because we have the power to control these or alter these or reduce the stress that these put on our health. And that's the function of environmental health. Example of this, and I like this. Anybody been to London? You ever been on the tube? It's fantastic, isn't it? I love the tube. It's brilliant. This is a tube map of London. Jubilee line. Starts here in Westminster, which is the nice part. It goes all the way through London to Canning Town, which is the not so nice part. Your life expectancy in Westminster, if you're female, is 85, if you're male, 78 roughly. 7 stops down the line, your life expectancy drops by 7 years. For every stop on the tube, you lose a year of life. And that's not right. That can't be right. And that's what environmental health looks to address. These health inequalities, these are the functions of environmental health. It's interesting. Women always outlive men. Why is that? Are women the stronger sex? Certainly. I've seen childbirth. Women are definitely the stronger sex. But it's interesting, across any culture, any country, women always outlive men. Why is that? Some people say women nag men to death. I wouldn't argue, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that at all. So what does environmental health involve? 5 key areas. Food safety, health and safety, housing, environmental protection, which we call pollution, and health protection, health promotion. I should have said there's some photos coming up. They're not particularly graphic, but people always go, oh, this is my favourite ever photo of environmental health. And what I really like about it is not only is the mouse in the loaf of bread, but it's been sliced. And I think it's a brilliant photograph. It's true. People always ask me, oh, it's been staged. No, it's an actual genuine photograph. And these are the kind of things that environmental health might deal with. There was another one. Sorry? No, genuine mouse in a loaf of bread. There was another one, and I don't think I've got it on this presentation, but it's a loaf of bread, and in the bottom corner is a mouse sort of standing on its head. And it's bought from Tesco's, and the guy said, I bought the loaf of bread, brought it home, and I didn't notice it. And he started making butties for his kids. And a couple of days later, the loaf had come down and he discovered the mouse. But the mouse had no tail. And what they don't know is whether the tail came off the mouse as it went in the bread, or if he'd been giving his kids a mouse tail butty every day. Some of the things. Where are we? Any idea what that is? That's a 5p piece. Any idea what that is? Bit blurry, I know. It's the top of someone's finger. I'll tell you the story. Lady goes to Pizza Express. And you know in Pizza Express they have a salad bar. And you sort of order your pizza and you go and get your salad beforehand. You eat all your salad and your pizza comes. She sits down with the family, gets her salad, she's eating away, and she bites into that on top of someone's finger. And this is sort of famous in environmental health because what happened is the AHPs took that and managed to get it DNA tested. And the reason for that is in Pizza Express, they don't actually prepare the vegetables or the salad. It's all pre-packed, it's all pre-done. It's a bit like if you go into Subway, you know when they fill the cartons up, they just open the plastic bag and throw it in. Well, in Pizza Express, it's all done in one central location. So they actually went to the processing plant and they DNA tested all the staff and they found a match. So they could prove that had come from that facility. Personally, I'd have walked in, lined all the staff up and said, do that. Yeah. And the person who does that is guilty.
Must have gone to hospital if they'd...
Possibly not. But can you imagine the amount of blood that's come out on the lettuce? Yeah? Where are we? That one. Have we got that one? And that one. This is a lady, again, true story. She went for a meal in a restaurant in London. It was a Portuguese restaurant. And the speciality of the restaurant was a flaming sausage dish. You know, you have Christmas pudding, you put a bit of alcohol in and you light it, get the nice blue flame. The dish comes to her in a party and it's lit, and the waiter sort of brings it over. And the waiter thinks, it's not burning very well, that. Just put a bit more alcohol on it. And he got a bottle of alcohol and he threw it on and it went woof into her face, into her hands. These are the things environmental health would look at. Nice little mouse. Any idea what this substance is? Not very clear. Sweet and sour sauce. 2 AHPs go to a Chinese takeaway, do an inspection, open a pan that contains a load of sweet and sour sauce and finds this little chap swimming in it. Subsequently, obviously, the premises were shut down and the food business owner was banned from ever owning a food business again. I shouldn't do this after dinner, should I? After everybody's eaten. That's the end of the photos. But becoming an AHP, if you're interested in becoming an AHP, the key thing is you need a certificate of registration. That's the sort of golden ticket that you need. To get that, there are currently 5 things that you need. One is a degree from an accredited university, and that's accredited by the Chartered Institute of Environmental Health, which is the professional body for environmental health. We are one of those. There's about 14 in the country. Secondly, you need to do your food practical exam. We organise that here, and it's an examination on food, identification, fitness, and the powers of the AHP. The top 2 you do with us. So when you graduate, 3 years' time, just a bit more, you'll have them. Once you've then graduated, you'll do these other 3. ELP / it's now called PPP, which is your portfolio professional practice. That is you saying, that has given me knowledge, this is me showing I'm competent. A professional interview and a professional exam. That takes about 6 months after graduation, but it depends on you. Might take longer, don't think it's going to take shorter, might do, but it's about 6 months. Once you graduate, you're not our responsibility. But saying that, we do have a network of ex-students, and we do try and help them out with ELP, PPP, and professional interviews and professional exams. So we do encourage and we do support students post-graduation. Career opportunities. Well, as I say, you've got to get a degree. We're about 1 of 14. Postgraduate training is about 6 months. If you don't want to be an AHP, that's okay. You don't have to be, because I think this course gives you a real set of transferable skills that employers like. Analysing and assessing skills, communication skills, problem solving skills. So you don't necessarily have to be an AHP at the end of this degree. You can go and do something different, but we think it gives you a real load of good skills. There's a national shortage of AHPs. We're not recruiting the numbers that we need, that leave the profession through sort of natural wastage. People who retire, people who die, people who go off and get married and don't bother coming back, people who win the lottery, you know, that kind of thing. We're not producing enough AHPs. Got the ability to work all over the country. You can work for local authorities, you can work for the private sector. Increasingly, more and more AHPs are working in the private sector. It's a real sort of boom area. Recognised in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and I reckon your starting salary will be about 25,000 plus. Depends where you work. We'll go up with experience. People ask me, are there jobs out there? Yeah, there are jobs. It's a difficult time. No, I don't think any degree can guarantee jobs the way it did 5-8 years ago. AHPs are pretty fireproof though. Certainly in local authority, they ain't going to make them redundant. They are key figures. They might not recruit as many, but there's always going to be jobs. There's always going to be a need for AHPs. So it's one of those vocations that once you get in the career, it takes you wherever you want to go, but there's always an opportunity. There's always an opportunity. About the course, well, we offer it 3 years full time. You can come part time. Minimum 4 years, maximum of 8 years. Entirely up to you. You can swap and change. First year gives you a real sort of good foundation around public and environmental health, and then in our second and third years we go on to more specialised studies, level 5 and level 6 at second and third years. And our food exam is included at the end of the year, level 5. Your second year you do your food exam with us. Kind of thing? Any idea what that is? It's not a grapefruit. Looks like a grapefruit. It tastes like a very sweet grapefruit. Pomelo. You ever come across that? It's not a Swede. Thing called kohlrabi. Now I always remember it. If you imagine turning this picture upside down, it looks like a rabbi's beard. So kohlrabi. You know what that is? It's a pheasant. Male or female? Male. Yeah. Remember, in the animal world, males are always the beautiful ones, the plumage. Females are always a bit dowdy. Yeah. Nice. It's a fish.
It's a mackerel.
A mackerel? Spot on. Do you want to do the course? Do you want to do the food exam? Oh, well, there you go. See, mackerel. Always remember it. Maisie mackerel. A little bit of a maisie pattern on the back. But that's the kind of thing. These are the things we would look to do. Level 4, your first year, we do a lot on study skills to set you up. Okay, we need to give you the skills to make sure you can pass university. Look at the living in built environment, understand and engaging populations, introduction to governance, and introduction to what health is. Second year, you do a project. You are expected to take part in a project, probably lasting about 1 day a week for about 6 months or so. Project is entirely up to you. We would encourage you to go and find your project. Now, you can go out and find one yourself, absolutely brilliant. We do have what we call brokerage here. So for example, I've had students this year that have worked for Liverpool One. We've got a couple in the Liverpool Echo Arena. We've got Liverpool One, the shopping centre. So I've got 2 students working for Liverpool One looking at health and safety in the shopping centre. I've got a student working in the Liverpool Echo Arena looking at energy efficiency. We've got a couple of students at Knowsley Community College looking at their radio station and health and safety there. We've got students with Liverpool City Council looking at a Healthier Homes initiative. So it's kind of a mixture of, if you've got contacts, if you've got things you're interested in, if there's fields of environmental health you want to explore, you can set your own project up. You can talk to people and identify it. We do provide some contacts. It's not a placement, and I've stressed it's not a placement like nursing, where they say, turn up, Ward 9, Liverpool Royal Hospital, you're there for the next 6 weeks. It's not what we don't operate that way. It's up to you to try and identify it. We will help you and we'll never leave anybody behind, but you need to get involved in that. So that's sort of university. We expect you to do about a day a week from probably October to February, March. Roughly a day a week. Might change. Might be that with your project in the early days, you only need to go to that workplace half a day. Might be by the end of that project, you need to do 2 days there because maybe you're doing a roadshow around listeria or safety in the home, whatever your project is. Then we look at the key areas of environmental health, food and health and safety, environmental protection and promotion, housing and public health, and we do a research module as well. Your final year, you will do a dissertation, 10,000 words. Professional interdisciplinary studies pulls all these together. We look at global approaches to environmental health and we look at career plan and professional development. This ties in to the professional interview, the PPP and the professional exams. You don't do them while you're here. I'll make it very clear, you don't do your PPP with us, but elements of the PPP we will cover. For example, part of the PPP says you've got to do a housing inspection. One of your assessments for that is a housing inspection. So you could use that if you wanted. A cunning student, I think, looks at their project and says, okay, I'm interested in food safety, I'll go somewhere. We had a lad go to the judges' chambers in Liverpool, looking at food safety in their kitchens. That cunning student, I think, links into their dissertation. I also then think a really cunning student says, well, actually, I've been with an organisation for 2 years. Once I've graduated, if there's any jobs at the end of it in that organisation, they already know me. I've demonstrated my worth to that organisation. If there's any jobs, I'm in prime position to get that post. And that's why I think a cunning student looks across those two. Entry requirements, I've got 260 there. I think it's gone up to 280. Which I think is something like a BBC. 2 B's and a C, yeah. We also need maths and English. I've been told English language we need to specify rather than English literature, a GCSE or equivalent. Obviously for mature students we'd look at their own qualifications and experience as well.
What grade do you look for in maths and English GCSE?
Pass. As long as it's a pass, that's all we're interested in. That's who I am. I know you got my business card, I'll give you a business card in a minute. If you've got any questions after today, come and talk, just email me. That's the best thing. I'm quite happy to have a chat with you on the phone, but if you ring up, I'm not always in the office, I'm out teaching and doing other bits and bobs. I think environmental health is a fantastic career. It's a challenge, it gives you a lot of job satisfaction. It can be I'm being videoed, I can't say it. It's a pain in the proverbial at times, but it's a great career. I think all the universities that do environmental health, we work off the CIH curriculum. So the curriculum kind of gives us all the same kind of focus, but every course will have a different flavour. And that will depend on the resources, the experiences, the likes of the staff, if you like. I'll be honest and say our course has a lot of public health. That's where we're coming from. That's our backgrounds. I think that's the way forward for environmental health. Other colleagues might disagree with me. But I think we do a good course. The only thing I would say is at the moment there's those 5 elements. It is possible, changes within the CIH, that the professional exam would be incorporated into the university curriculum. So when you'd leave us, you'd have your degree, you'd have the food practical exam, and you would have the professional exam components. It is likely by the time you start in September, or certainly by the time you graduate, that those 3 elements will have been incorporated into our degree programme. What you would then need to do is your PPP and your professional interview. Those are the 2 things you'd do once you'd left us. I hope that's been illuminating, insightful. Any questions?
Do you offer science in A-level?
No. So again, I'll be honest and say there's elements of science in the course, but there's also elements of humanities in the course. So you can come to us with biology, chemistry, physics, and that will be handy for elements of the course. You can come to us with sociology, psychology, geography, and that will be useful for elements of the course. There's no one correct combination. Like some courses are very specific about the A-levels you've got to study. I think we'd take anything. I don't know if we can include general studies. I'd have to double check on that one.
Yeah, I've done geography and biology, so I think.
Yeah, they're fine subjects to take. That wouldn't stop you coming on the programme. Target, we normally look at recruiting 20. So we're a small course. That's got a lot of advantages because we don't lose you as a student. We actually get to know you as a student, which is great for when we're writing references. You don't sort of get the standard reference, this person attended, we think. And it helps particularly, I think, again, once you've left us, I'm still in touch with ex-students who have just qualified as AHPs, who are looking to go through that qualification process. And I'll be honest, part of it is for my benefit, because it develops links for me to help place students in the future. It also keeps me, in touch with the profession. But it's good for them. We do a number of field trips throughout the year. Food premises, health and safety premises, the law courts, recycling. We try and give it quite a good experience. Mixture of assessments, not all exam based, not all coursework based. We think it's a nice course. We hope so anyway. If not, we'll get no students and I'll have a job. But yeah, we think it's good. It's fit for purpose. Any questions? Are we all happy? You've got my email address, or you will have my email address. Just drop us an email. Quite happy to have a chat. Quite happy to answer by email. Good luck. I hope to see you in September. If not, good luck in your studies wherever you go. Fantastic.